Welcome to the Salt Stands Alone podcast. I'm Hank. I'm alone. It's just me. So I have a thing I want to talk about. And I have to preface it by saying that the inspiration for this came from watching a YouTube video that was a reaction, like a layered reaction video, where it was a highlight from a stream of Diaphone reacting to Brian F. getting mad about how he was clipped in a Sajam video. And then Diaphone watched the Sajam video in question and then reacted to that and gave his own thoughts on that. And I love the layers of that shit. Is very funny to me. But there was a part in it where Diaphone was talking about what he liked in fighting games. And he said two things back to back. The first being that this like common refrain you hear people say it like, oh, we want a Street Fighter 6 patch because Street Fighter 6 is kind of a solved game. And he said he likes the discovery. Diaphone's point was he said he likes the discovery period of games, not when a game is solved as much. Just is a thing he likes. But then, like immediately after that, he said that he was talking about why he prefers Street Fighter 6 to 2XKO. And he said when you put 100 hours into Street Fighter 6, he felt like he knew the game enough and he was playing his opponent with mind games and stuff. Like he got to the playing the one-on-one part of the game, whereas in 2XKO he put in 100 hours in 2XKO, he does not feel like he's got to that part of the game yet. He feels like when he's losing, he's still losing to better labbing. And I was like, these two thoughts, and his like conclusion was like, well, I like something in the middle. I was like, these two thoughts are like opposed to each other, because either you're like the story it tells is I'm a basic bitch who likes the novelty of a new thing but doesn't want it to like actually want it to stretch on forever. You don't actually want the depth of a game you're gonna like play and try and learn forever and ever and ever, or whatever. That's what that expresses. Whatever his. But like really, the reality is, oh, I like this game, I don't like this game. And this inspired me with the thought that I wanted to talk about, which is, mostly when like people, the core of this is that emotions are real. People feel things about people like things. But when it comes to then having to explain that to someone else, which is a thing I think about a lot as a person who talks into, it's one of the reasons I like talking into a microphone. I think about this. The difference between feeling a thing and communicating that thing to someone else is infinite. Like it's impossible. We try really hard to do our best. But ultimately, basically, we're always gonna fall short. Like you're never gonna fully. But you can improve. You can do better. You can work it out, right? So I believe him. Like his feelings of preferring Diaphone's feeling of preferring Street Fighter 6 and not enjoying 2XKO. Like I don't think that's wrong, but the way he phrased it the logic of it doesn't line up. But that's fine. My thing is that I think the thing I want to talk about is about patch culture with fighting games, partially and in general. Um, and it's that I think it's brain poison. The idea that you're just waiting for a patch, which is like a big thing with Street Fighter 6. And I say this as someone who's waiting for Street Fighter 6 to get patched. So I'm 100% influenced by my own feelings on this. But the thing I will be clear on is I want a Street Fighter 6 patch because I don't enjoy playing Street Fighter 6 that much. Whereas I feel like a lot of the patch culture discussion comes from content creators who are stuck playing one game that maybe they don't like. Like if you just don't like Street Fighter 6, but you have to play Street Fighter 6 because it's the most popular fighting game, you're making content or you're competing in it, and that's where the best prize money is or whatever. Like, but you want the patch. You want a big patch inherently because you don't like the game, and you want the game to be a different game at some level. If you liked the game, if you loved the game, you wouldn't need a patch. Like, but the reason I call it brain poisoning is because we're always if you're talking about like the games that are popular that are being played, you're always going to be in this position. You're there might be a window where you like the thing and then you would never want it to be patched again. But eventually then the next game comes out and then you have to go through this whole thing again because ongoing games, living games that get patches are not finished. And games that are finished, we call dead games. But really, in the ideal world is you find a finished game, the dead game that you love, that's perfect, that will never change, and you play that forever. Otherwise, what you actually like is novelty, and you just like a thing to tinker with. You don't want like the pure good competitive game that you can really express yourself, that fits you and you like competing against another human with. If you like the novelty of playing a new thing that's jangly and shiny, then you get like a thing that's patches, that changes because it's, it's new, it's different. It's different for the sake of being different, not always for the sake of being better. Like Street Fighter 5, that's a finished game. So, yeah, it's better than Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter 6 is in progress. It is an early access. It's not finished. It's not a dead game yet. But once it is finished, once it gets its last patch, then it's a dead game and everyone's moving on to the next thing anyway. This is the struggle. But it's not like the way people talk about this stuff. And my perspective is kind of informed by I watch a shitload of StarCraft 1, which has not gotten a patch since StarCraft Remaster came out, where they fixed the sprite overload bug that then made Valkyries go from unusable to usable. Because there used to be that unit shoots missiles so fast that it the old sprite limit would mean they wouldn't fire actually all of their shots. So they were technically bugged for the life of competitive Brood War until Remastered came out and fixed that bug, and then that unit was usable, and now is a part of the meta. But that's a dead game. It's not getting updates. It's not getting patches. Although I will say, in defense of the patches thing, it's different because that is a game with maps, and actually all the novelty, all the things that keep it fresh, and not like a carved in marble stone thing, are maps. And you get new maps all the time, and maps dictate a lot about how the game is played, and can change a lot about how you can change a lot about how a game goes just by changing a map. Which in a one-on-one fighting game, you don't really have that option. You don't have new maps in that way. That's kind of what you want from patches. That's why people want patches. They want to keep it fresh. So, defeating my own point. Ta. But also just saying, like, my main point is just that you want a big patch because you don't enjoy the thing. When you love a game, it's actually fine if it never gets a patch. And if you're a competitive, and also it's like such a content creator brain thing of wanting a thing to talk about, like a thing to share with your community and talk about and stuff. It, like, if you're an active participant in a space or whatever, it's a bigger thing. Because if you're just a high level competitor who's having success, you don't want that shit to change. You just want to be able to keep doing the thing you're doing and succeed at it over and over, and if you're making money, like, you want to be able to keep doing that. You don't want the YouTube algorithm to change on you and, you know, suddenly you have to learn a whole new meta to keep your shoryukens from getting views or whatever. Yeah. But it's also just a thing of, like, the way video games are made is that the way they get perfected often comes from people playing them a lot, and then changes coming because of that, the early access. And basically fighting games all release in early access. Even back in the day, it would release in arcades. You would get each arcade revision being a patch. That's like the process. And eventually you get Street Fighter Third Strike, and the game's perfect. But, you know, Street Fighter 3, base form, not so good. But we also used to be able to treat those as separate games, because this is the game, right? But patches, because, like, they basically delete the old version of the game when they get applied. It becomes this weird thing of feeling like the thing you're playing, you get put in this holding pattern. You have a different relationship with it, where, like, the patch is inevitable and it will erase the thing you're experiencing, and then so the thing you're interested in, that you're playing right now, that you're putting time into, is kind of fake. Which is different than, like, if you're playing an old arcade version, that's the game, and all its quirks, everything that's fucked up about it, you either learn it and you love it, or it's just or you don't like it and you don't play it anymore. Like, you don't like Second Impact, so you just don't play Second Impact. But one of my big examples always is the early versions of X-Men vs. Street Fighter, which have these completely fucked up infinites. But that's the version people like. So, like, when the Street Fighter collection, the Marvel's Capcom collection came out, and it only had the last revision of that game at first. And that was the one you could play online rank. That was not the version that there was a community that cared about, because they had decided, in a world where discrete versions of games were just objects that existed for forever, and your small community would just focus in on the thing it liked, they would just play that one. But with patches, we don't get that thing of like, well, everyone just wants to play this patch of Street Fighter 6 or whatever, or Street Fighter 5 or whatever. I don't know, some specific game where I just want to play this patch, when the game was like, before they did something else to it. I can't think of a good example. Like the best world, I think, is like where the later versions of Street Fighter 2, where you can pick like each version of the character. That shit's fucking fire, because it's fucking nonsense. Or you could play like original Street Fighter 2 Ryu versus super hyper fighting Street Fighter Sagat, or whatever it is. I think 4 had some of that. And like sometimes it's not as extreme as like, I fucking hate this, I want it to be better. Like Street Fighter 4 went through this, where base Street Fighter 4 was a huge like sea change. Like, it brought fighting games back. Fighting games were dead. Street Fighter 4 comes out, fighting games are back. It's widely popular. It like a lot, fighting games get to exist again as a genre people care about. Like other fighting games get to like follow in the wake of it. But playing it at the time, that game was kind of mid. Like, it was fun, it was new, but it was not Street Fighter 3. It was not Third Strike. Third Strike was clearly the better game. So, you start playing Third Strike again, because Third Strike's just better, right? Then Super Street Fighter 4 comes out. Game is much more fun. Game is much better. It's like actively, everyone gets like a new super. You get to load more characters. It all comes at once. You don't get this like incremental, every 3 months there's a new character thing. It happens, and then you're like, yeah, new Street Fighter 4 2 is here. Let's fucking go. And then it takes a little bit longer for you to go back to Street Fighter 3, because Street Fighter 3 is still better. What are you going to do? One of the greatest fighting games of all time. Third Strike, still king. Yeah, people are just fucking huffy about dumb shit. Because the reason people are invested in a thing is they like it, probably. And they don't know how good Street Fighter 3 is, because Street Fighter 3 is old. And maybe they haven't played it as much. And also, it's hard. It's not like... And it's like, the most accessible fighting game is always gonna be the most popular one, because that's gonna have the actual important thing about a fighting game is being able to find people on your skill level so that you can incrementally get better. And you only get the range of that with new games that are widely popular. Like, actually, the most important thing about Street Fighter 6 is that it's popular. Ultimately, like, that gives you a wide range of skill levels on the ladder that you can play against at any time. And smaller games can have communities that are big enough that you can find that stuff, but it takes a little bit more work. And the, fucking maybe Tekken 1 is your favorite fucking game of all time, and the one other guy who plays it is just too fucking good. Just way better than you. Or, like, I don't know. And, like, there's just times where, like, I love Marvel vs. Capcom 2, but I'm terrible at that game. And the way, and I like it at a level that's different from when you get good at it. Like, the way you play it to be good, I don't think is fun. So do I not like that game? No, that's not exactly true. There's a range of feelings you can have about these things. Anyway. I guess that's a thought. It was a thing. A thing I was thinking about. I was talking with Ben a little bit about it. That in our chat, and I just thought I'd put some words into